there are some certain requirements that pertain to anyone who is interested in applying to be on a board. One of which is that an applicant may not be an employee of the Department of Economic Security, which oversees Child Protective Services, nor may they work for an agency which subcontracts in order to prevent any conflict of interest, of course. Similarly, an applicant may not work for the juvenile court for the same reason. But other than that, our application criteria are rather broad. One has to pass a background check, a DPS fingerprint check, but our application is open to anyone who is over the age of 21 and is a U.S. citizen, and who is willing to come in and give of themselves 1 day per month in order to review the cases of these dependent children that we oversee.
How do you apply? Somebody out there that's watching now says, I'm interested. How do I go about applying?
Really, probably the best thing is to go to our website, which is azfcrb.org. And there is a variety of information about the program, some demographic information about the children that we review, information about the history of the program, about the volunteer criteria, and an application packet which can be sent in via email or mailed in to one of either our Phoenix or our Tucson office. We have an office in each region.
Recruiting is really fundamental to keeping the boards going. We need active people who are involved in the situation. And so actually, as a part of the state board, we have some committees that work on getting the word out. They have a speakers bureau. Someone can come and talk to a Lions Club or a Kiwanis Club. I've done some public service announcements. They can play on the radio about coming on the board. And indeed, we do need articles and TV shows like we're doing here, so that people are informed about what the Foster Care Review Board does.
As I grow older and we reach retirement, there's a forest full of baby boomers who are now wondering what to do with their extra time. And I don't think there's a better place to serve than here if you have any interest in the lives of children. And that's what I try to preach to my friends. I'm not 100% successful, but I do pass out the application packets and at least get them thinking about this as a possible way to serve their community and serve these kids.
Now, you've mentioned, and several others have mentioned, how you're looking for a wide variety of individuals to be volunteers, but are there any specific background, skill set, or something that a volunteer would need?
There's several different things that I think are helpful. One is that an applicant is a member of a board, so there are 4 other people in addition to you. So teamwork is important to us. We like to see boards act by consensus when and if possible, and they usually do. They usually are of a like mind in terms of the recommendations that they generate. Good communication skills are necessary. One needs to be able to ask questions of interested parties that appear in a skillful, in a respectful way in order to try to ascertain what kind of information we need, what's going on with this child. We need to be able to ask those kinds of questions. So interviewing skills are important. It's important also to be kind of culturally competent, as we might say, which is to say that we all come from different backgrounds, but not to be judgmental or to project our own values or desires onto others when they may come from different families, different cultures, and have different experiences, and we need to validate that and not make preconceived judgments about that, but understand where people are coming from and keep our own value system somewhat in check, and be understanding and empathic to what's going on with other families.
What are some of the challenges as a board member that you see that it makes it kind of tough to do, but at the other hand, on the other side of that, makes it more satisfying?
It's sometimes difficult to read what these children have gone through. And my focus because I come from foster parent role, is on the children, or I wouldn't have become a foster parent. But I know the whole family dynamic is involved and everyone's hurting. But what the children have endured and the resiliency that these kids have, that they hang in there and they keep going, I admire these kids. And sometimes it's painful to read what they've suffered, but all I have to do is read it. They've lived it. If they can live it, I can read it. And if that bothers me, I just have to get over it. It doesn't affect me so much because I know at least these children have come to the attention of the system. And there are social workers and other professionals who've already started, by the time we see their case, who've already started to help them move to a better situation. It is satisfying to be part of the solution rather than just reading about it in the paper and saying, oh, so sad. That's what motivated me to become a foster parent. We all read those stories, and we've read them for years, and we think, oh, this is just such a shame. Why doesn't someone do something about it? So at least I'm doing something about it. Not a lot, and I don't mean that we can all pat ourselves in the back and feel a sense of superiority because we're serving on the Foster Care Review Board, but it is getting involved in the process instead of just bemoaning what's happening to these kids. As
a member now for 31 years, what you look back, what's maybe some of the tougher things to do, some of the harder tasks that you've had to deal with?
Frankly, Ron, at the very beginning, there seemed to be some friction between the Foster Care Review Board and the DES. And that was, I think, fostered partially because they were concerned that we were going to be trying to tell them how to do, program management and how to run their cases or whatnot. And what has evolved is that we work together now as a team much more. They look forward to coming to our reviews to listen to our side of things and what we might think and come up with an idea and make a good report. It's also a check and balance on them to make sure that the reports are going into the court in a timely fashion so they can be reviewed. Typically, the juvenile court only gets to review these cases about once a year, and we see them at least every 6 months. So that's part of what we do. The difficult part, I would say, is when we have to make a recommendation that the parental rights of the parents need to be severed. And we have parents, unfortunately, that have drug and alcohol problems, all kinds of other problems, mental illness, what have you, where we get conditions that the kids need to be severed and adopted by someone who loves them. And we had one case in particular, I remember on my board, where we had about a 14-year-old girl that asked to speak to the board directly and have everybody else out of the room, the case manager and her foster parents and whatnot. And she stood up and read us a letter that she wanted to read to the judge. And basically it said, well, my mom has had all kinds of opportunities to get straightened out. She loves the drugs and alcohol more than she loves me, and I want to be adopted by this family who I know loves me. And we all just cheered. We said, well, young lady, you've made great strides. You can see clearly what's going on, and we endorse your reading that directly to the judge. So those kind of things are satisfying. And there are times you have the big hoorays, but there's also times you go home and get on your knees and cry a little bit because these things they're basic. God gives us the kids, okay? If they have to be taken away, that's the second worst thing the state could do. Once you see what's going on and see the development and come to know the system, we can make a difference, and that's the point. I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't a functional system where we do make a difference.